kind of depth of knowledge, understanding, lived experience of national and federal politics and the intellectual rigor of NRAM. So we're delighted to have him with us at the NDTV Tamil Nadu Conclave. And I was asking Mr. Ram before we started, which was the first election he covered. So that was going all the way back to 1967, which, as many of you will remember, was a very important election in state politics because no national party ever came back since that fundamental rupture. It's been AIADMK versus the DMK in one form or shape or the other. Is that the way things will stay in the next couple of election cycles? Or are we going to see another fundamental rupture? Are we building up towards that? What's the future of Dravidian politics from here? So, Chairman of the Hindu Group, Mr. Ram, thank you very much, sir, for joining us. Absolute delight to have you with us here in Chennai. And I want to kickstart this conversation by getting you to comment on how you think this election is similar to and different from the elections you've seen and covered in the past 59 years.
I think first on 1967, that turned out to be a watershed because no All India party ever had a chance of coming back, let alone coming back. They didn't look to have a ghost of a chance of coming to power in Tamil Nadu after 67, which was a stunning outcome. At that time, nobody realized it. It was a surprise. The defeat of Kamarad, such an esteemed leader, and so on. I think we underestimated, most of the press, the drivers of this change over a period. I won't go into the details, but that's what it was, because I think there was a certain neglect of what was called the Dravidian movement, and in particular the DMK, which was the political party which came out of that. How is it... You asked a numbers weak in this state. I think its share of the vote is certainly in single digits, maybe the low single digits. BJP, with all the resources it's poured in and all the power of the central government, I think more than what was made earlier in Coimbatore and so on. So this is a state where, unlike, say, West Bengal, regional players others are junior partners. The BJP is a junior partner to AIADMK, and Congress is a very junior partner in the alliance that has been broadly announced but yet to be tied up in the state. I think this election in that sense is going to be very similar to earlier elections. I'll go back to 1989, which was a sort of four-cornered contest, actually 3.5. Some of you would know that. It was the DMK, the AIADMK of Jayalalitha, the other faction headed by Janaki Ramachandran, and then Congress. DMK, AIADMK, two AIADMKs, and Congress, 4. And then what we learned from there was a small lead, say a 4, 5, 6 percentage point lead translates into a landslide. Because of here, you have some other states, it may not happen because there's regional concentration. But this state, although diversified, a certain uniformity of urbanization. And I think therefore it results. So this election, in a sense, mirrors 1989. Similar 3.5 cornered fight, you could say, because there is the DMK, the ruling party. The AIADMK is certainly the most significant opposition, the largest opposition party. It's and the alliance it heads, although they call it NDA, the AIADMK leader always calls it AIADMK alliance. So there's a subtle difference there, but it's significant. And then there is Vijay, and then there's the rest, Seaman and others. So 3.5 cornered, let's say. And if, as the latest poll by C Voter, offered by India Today, your competitor, you know, that question there was, if Lok Sabha elections were held now, what would be the outcome? And I was stunned to see a 12 percentage point lead for the, what they call the India Alliance, the DMK-headed alliance, over the NDA, which is the AIDMK-headed alliance, and the others are 22% or something. If this holds, or even half of this holds, it'll be a landslide, as we saw in 1989. I remember when he put out the then chief, the man who became chief minister didn't quite believe it, Mr. Karunanidhi. But we predicted a two-thirds sweep for the DMK at that time. It didn't last after that, didn't go that way later. But if these percentages are true, then I would bet on a repeat of 1989.
You know, it just struck me that I'm having a conversation on Dravidian politics with a Rahul and a Ram. So I think, not with the idea of it, but the fact is, when you make a, understand a state on the basis of arithmetic, and you made this point very importantly about the NDA alliance versus the AIADMK-led alliance. You've seen the Congress on the DMK side demanding a share of power. Do we see Tamil Nadu heading into a potential coalition at the end of this government, or do you believe it's going to be a decisive mandate?
I think it'll be decisive. I don't think there'll be power sharing in this state. And by the way, EPS, the AIDMK leader, has also said that it'll be an AIDMK government. He said no coalition.
We heard from the Chief Minister when he spoke at the NDTV Tamil Nadu conclave that he saw this as a Tamil Nadu versus NDA election. A lot is being said about the kind of energy and effort the Prime Minister, the Home Minister are making, not necessarily just keeping this election cycle in mind, but going forward as an era ends, as the next generation gets set to take charge, as and when that happens, they're thinking that this is the last bastion, as it were. Do you think the ground is being prepared for that? You've said they've made no progress. Actually, in the Lok Sabha elections, they had 18% vote share when they fought separately from the AIDMK. To them, that looks like progress. To them, it looks like there is a dichotomy in Tamil Nadu society where you've got a deeply religious people and politics which shuns religion. And they're trying to exploit that cleavage in society.
That's exactly what it is.
And they're trying to end that disconnect between the politics and society. It's happened in other states, like West Bengal, where again you had TMC versus the left for a long time. They've been able to penetrate. Why do you think they can and maybe cannot do the same in a Tamil?
I think the BJP net is seen as a liability by the overwhelming majority of voters in this state, despite, as you say, the population being highly devout. And Hindus form a huge majority in this state, even higher than other states. But thanks to the political evolution of this state, and there I think we must give high marks to the Dravidian movement parties. Both parties, I would say, over time, but particularly the DMK, which is ideologically much more evolved and sharper. They are very clear about this, that they oppose mobilization, use of religion for political mobilization. They believe in inclusivity. It is true that there's been a great deal of corruption over the years. I've written on this in this state. That is a problem. And it has to be tackled at some point, but I think no government, no political party is going to go head on against this, because it will be seen as too destabilizing to do that. But that aside, I think good values are there, and as we heard from the last, including from my friend Dr. Sujit Balla, I think there was a large measure of agreement on that, growth with equity is important. And I think Tamil Nadu leads the way. The last figure, 11.19%.
That's right.
Was the growth rate. But Rahul, the other stunning statistic, I don't know if it was mentioned, is 42 to 43% of women working in the manufacturing sector in India
are from
are working in Tamil Nadu. It's an astonishing figure. We couldn't believe it.
So, when you make
And
this,
of course, gross enrollment ratio. We've got to improve the quality of education, but people are there. And this, I think, it has to be explained in terms of long-term development.
you're making an important point, and I'm just taking the statistics to a larger political ideological narrative, right? How do you see the Stalin era in the DMK? This state largely was defined during the liberalization years by the Karunanidhi versus Jayalalitha battle. How do you see the Stalin era? Do you see this as the tail end of the Dravidian story we've seen so far? Or do you see this as a perhaps new narrative that's setting off?
Chief Minister Stalin, and before he became Chief Minister also, this was clear, is a very different kind of political leader than those who came before. MGR, of course, is a superstar, with a lot of political experience. Mr. Karunanidhi was a many-sided and a brilliant orator. He didn't finish school, but I don't know if people who have more, in terms of literary accomplishment, journalism, film, script writing for films, oratory, I think he and I would rate Mr. Karunanidhi and Mr. Vijay as perhaps the most powerful orators in politics in the last several decades. There may be some others, but those two. So he's a very different kind of leader. He's not like that. I think, but his father made a statement which I think was quite prescient. He said something like, "Uraipu endral Stalin." That means, to translate for you and those
Hard
who...
work means Stalin.
Yeah, the definition of hard work is Stalin. Hard work is Stalin. And it's true. I observe it. We have a walking group every day. This morning also we walked. The Stolkapi Punga pictures are out. And you can see the number, how he accepts programs. In fact, he told me that when I don't have work, I'm unhappy. When I have a lot of work pushed to the maximum level, I'm very happy. And you see it, it's not exaggeration. The other thing is he's soft-spoken. We observe these little things. The security might stop somebody, say when you walk, no, don't stop them. Let them walk back. And it creates problems for security. They're doing their job. So, I've said this before, but the phrase that I was reminded of, the style of politics is, of course it was said in a very different context, in an imperialist context, with the Monroe Doctrine in mind. And this it goes back to the early 20th century. Theodore Roosevelt made this famous statement, "Speak softly and carry a big stick and you will go far." Speak softly and carry. I think this, although the context is different and even the substance, because carrying a big stick has other connotations, but that's what it is. He's that. And the other thing I notice about our Chief Minister here is the attention paid to organization on the ground. I don't think the DMK has ever worked as hard, maybe in the initial years before my time. They started working like that. We heard about Anadare giving instructions and the kind of work they did on the ground, walking. But the kind of attention they give to organization. The two parties that have people on the ground, boots on the ground if you like, DMK first, but also the AIDMK. They have grassroots
Right.
Not the BJP, not the Congress, certainly not Mr. Vijay.
No, so let's come to that, because one of the things that makes this election exciting from a pan-India perspective is that you've got the reigning superstar of Tamil cinema throwing his hat in the political ring. And polls seem to suggest he could be at a mean of about 15% vote share at this moment, give or take what happens between now and polling day. You've seen other cinema stars enter politics, some successfully, some not so successfully. How do you see the Vijay campaign gear up? He's creating waves on social media, drawing big crowds. To what extent might that translate into votes on the crucial day?
I think there's no doubt that he draws a lot of support from his fans, from young people who are also putting pressure on their families, their parents, the older people in the family to go and vote. They're virtually coercing them. We have reports of this. And also among women, I think there is a considerable following. And I think the kind of estimate you gave seems just about right. He will, I think, get more than Vijay, who is a serious player in this. Of course, I don't think he'll ever come close to MGR or N.T. Ramarao in Andhra Pradesh. But that's right. And this shows a certain, maybe frustration among younger people looking for something else.
I'm perplexed by his silence, Ram. The fact that the Karur stampede happens, he says nothing. His film doesn't get a CBFC certification, he says nothing. I haven't seen a politician so tentative and ginger about attacking something when he himself is under siege. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it was shocking. I think the fleeing from the scene, that's what it looked like. Not saying anything, because he has no experience in politics. He can only deliver on scripts. And these advisors around him, I run the show, they don't have any great experience. I know some of these guys, and they don't have any great idea. It's just his mass appeal, without any other accompanying system or force is what, and he doesn't have people on the ground except the fan clubs.
It is an important point that you make there, but given the mass appeal, and you compared the 1989 election, let me just bring the example of the 2006 Assembly election in which Vijay made his entry. There is a generic consensus that just the mass appeal of Vijay could get him about 8 to 10% vote at the least. It could go higher or no, I don't know about that. But in 2006, it was technically a hung assembly in Tamil Nadu with no clear mandate for any particular party. Given the kind of confrontationist approach you've seen between the state and the center, the political realities overall are very different. Are we heading into a situation where the majority, even if it is for one particular party, is going to be wafer thin, resulting in what we've not seen in Tamil Nadu since 1962, which has been a decisive victories with a substantial comfort zone for parties?
I don't think it'll be anything close to a hung assembly or parties not having a majority. The only question is how many seats will be shared with among the coalition partners. And so far as DMK is concerned, they are very determined to contest in a sufficient number of seats to give them a majority on their own, single party majority, and not having a coalition. This is a stated policy.
You don't see the Congress leaving the DMK at all in this? Congress leaving the DMK?
Congress can't go anywhere. Congress can't go anywhere in this state. And I'm surprised by the amount of confusion and virtual chaos. Praveen Chakravarti saying something, Manikam Tagore saying something. But I believe it comes right from the top. It's some kind of bargaining strategy that the Congress seems to have pursued here. It won't work.
What's your assessment of the battle preparedness of Edabadi Palanisamy and the AIDMK that he runs? He's been able to hold the party together. It hasn't fragmented in the way people outside may have imagined. But does he have enough sway to be able to cross the finishing line in alliance with the BJP?
No, he doesn't have the... yes, I think it's impressive that after such a powerful, towering leader like Chief Minister Jayalalitha, he was able to hold it, as you said. And not only hold it, but continue to be the main opposition. That's quite impressive, I would say. But does he have the resources, the popularity, the clout to cross the finishing line with the support of the BJP? Absolutely not, in my opinion. And that's what the polls say.
Okay. We've had many conversations before, and I'm going to nudge you to give us a prediction in terms of number of seats. What do you think is the minimum number of seats that you believe the DMK Red Alliance will have at the end of the day? I know it's too early.
Yeah, I don't want to get, I don't want to guess, but if the 12 percentage point lead that came out just yesterday, this India Today thing, which is, I think it's very high, but assuming that is, then you're talking about 200 plus for the alliance, and most of it for the DMK. But I don't think.
That may translate.
I mean, it's too good for the DMK to, even for them to believe that. A 12 percentage point lead, but anything above 150 would be, I think, a very good target for a government, because there would be anti-incumbency.
Because one of the...
By the way, what's clear is the chief minister scores much higher than his party, or significantly higher than his party. Even opposition leaders or activists concede this, that Stalin's image is very positive, but then they'll say there are others who, lag behind and so on. There is a real gap. It's also, I think, with the BJP, with Mr. Modi. Mr. Modi's popularity clearly outstrips Prime Minister, the BJP's in India as a whole. And similarly, you have the situation here. So I think it looks, the DMK has a very decisive and strong advantage.
But one of the primary charges being flung Mr. Stalin's way, as also that of this DMK government, is the charge of nepotism and this being a dynastic party. That's the charge that the Prime Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, and leaders here say, that this is essentially just a dynastic party, dynastic operation. To what extent do you think that charge sticks or doesn't stick?
I think it's the wrong way of looking at it, because in many political parties, the sons, daughters, relatives see an opportunity to grow, and you can't really stop that. And many parties have this right across, including West Bengal. But the Home Minister, the Union Home Minister, is no one to talk about it, in my opinion, because his son is, if not in politics, certainly BCCI and all that. So you'll have, and this is a natural phenomenon. The answer to that is, can you win an election on your own? Can you win an election, in a serious contest? And so far as Udayanidhi Stalin is concerned, I think he will. You can't stop them from doing it, but is all power in the hands of this family? I'd say no. And,
so, when you make that point, and I ask you this question, and this is my last question to you, and I ask you this as the former editor of The Hindu, a distinguished journalist, how difficult has it been to make an objective assessment of a government or a personality in a highly polarized and charged environment where there's ideological confrontation? Somewhere is truth and opinion getting lost, and how difficult has it become to arrive, not just for journalists, but for people to arrive at a conclusion about a particular government or its performance?
Yeah, I think you really got to shut your ears to, close your ears to the social media noise. I hear it every day. All kinds of things come. In fact, when I deal with, say, a physiotherapist, you'll get kind of information that that really surprises you. Every morning I do that, so this is a huge factor right now. So the only way for you asked me about a journalist, stay away from this noise. And women journalists have a particularly hard time in India, elsewhere also in the US.
Okay.
I mean, they're no better than us in this respect. So you really got to make an effort to not to be bothered by this, and if possible, listen to music, watch cricket, watch Djokovic versus Sinner, and stay away from this noise and concentrate on the issues that you're really concerned with. Mm-hmm. Easy to say, but I think I can do it. I'm sure you can do it. As for non-journalists, I think it's up to them.
Before we wrap up, Mr. Ram, we want your assessment of the state of play of national politics, because in state after state, Haryana, Maharashtra, Bihar, the BJP, NDA seems to be winning. The opposition disarray, which we saw in 2014, 19, 24, seems to be continuing. And we are building up by and by towards the next general elections. Looked at from your individual professional lens, how do you see national politics build up to 2029?
I'm very critical of the policies of the BJP government. Let's not get into that too much here. It's beside the point. But I see that the BJP has recovered lost ground significantly. I don't know about UP, maybe not yet, but Maharashtra certainly. You saw it in other places. And even this poll I was referring to gives them a much higher tally than what they got in 2024. There's no doubt about it that the BJP has learned from the reverses it suffered. I mean, reverses in the sense it didn't get a single majority. And certain setbacks, particularly in Uttar Pradesh and Maharashtra. But they have worked on it. Because it is a cadre-based party and you have the RSS working very hard. They see vulnerabilities, see gaps and work on it. And the Prime Minister certainly works very, very hard, as does the Home Minister, Union Home Minister. So I see the BJP working seriously to recover the ground it lost. It still was by far the preeminent party, political party in the system on an all-India basis. I don't like their policies, many of them. This trade pact with the EU was good. Good relations with Russia is good. On the whole, handling relations with neighbors, I have no problem. I don't. People say on Bangladesh you messed it up. I don't think so. It's not easy. You can't control many of these things. But on basic domestic issues, I have lots of problems. But you have to be objective and see that they have recovered, from their setbacks. If you can call them that, they're still a very strong force at the center. But it was a shock.
Do you see any hope for the opposition?
In the coming election, I don't know. I think the Congress leader has to make, I think he's brave. He speaks up. He acts on his principles. But is he capable of sustained effort? That's what we hear, even from people in that camp, that does he work the way previous leaders did? He may have some issues, but is he available in the party office regularly? You suddenly have, where is Rahul ji? Questions being raised even within the party. And so I think he's got to commit himself for his party's own good more seriously in this. And you can't have a president who's the chief of the party and somebody else, everyone looking at somebody else, a sort of diarchy functioning within the party. Those are the problems, but he often, I think, he speaks up, which is, I personally admire that.
So you've set up this election in a historical context. You've given us your insights. I heard some of the people here say that they were really looking forward to hearing you more than some of the politicians as well. Thank you so much for taking our time, Mr. Ram, and joining us. You had to adjust your schedule and don't speak up so much in public. So we're very delighted that you're here and that you shared your thoughts about the elections with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.